We'll talk about gender, health, and human rights in this video. So, understanding gender, what we are looking into it, is it biological, is it a social construct, or is it an individual requirements for needs and rights? Again, the framework, is it biological, is it a social contract construct in form of social point of view, or is it an individual requirements of needs and rights? So, we have sex, right? Male sex and female sex. What are we looking at it? Sex refers to the individual identity of physiological or biological characteristics of being a male or being a female. This is some a person whom will assign as male or whom we renowned are known as male. There's another fellow which has been termed as a female. So it's been referred by society to be called this person as male and this person as female. So is it an individual identity? Or is it a biological, physiological characteristics of being male or female? So let us understand gender has to do with how we feel the social behavior, how we believe what we can do or what we cannot do. Social constructions, socially defined concept of masculinity, or let's say femininity, men to be viewed as hunters or risk takers, women as a gatherer or caregivers thereby. Gender equality means equal treatment to women, men in laws, in policies, in access to resources, services within families, communities, and societies at large is what gender equality is all about. It. Gender equity is all about fairness, justice in the distribution of benefits and responsibilities between men and women, often requires women specific programs and projects to end the existing inequalities. Equity should be built on real life status and experiences and understanding of gender related expectation, needs and rights, and may need to challenge the adverse norms thereby. We're talking of empowerment when a woman and a man have an unequal status, remember, within a community, or unequal access to or control over resources. Women need preferential treatment. Affirmative actions before their starting point could be considered as equal with the men. Let me give you the definitions of human rights. Human rights are universal, the birthright of every human beings. Human right focuses on inherent dignity and equal worth of human beings. All human rights are equal, indivisible, and interdependent. Human right law, a set of performance standards for duty bearers at all levels of the society, but especially in the organs of the state. It serves as a basis for accountability. It grants justifiable legal guarantees to every individual. As a right holder, it is codified in international, regional, national legal system thereby. International human rights law serves as a beacon, pulling state towards accepting human rights, treating everyone equal and fair. It is serves as a safety net to supplement the national legal system. It is a basis to mobilize shame on international community per se. The application of international human rights framework means that the governments are held accountable for their actions. Absolutely. Human rights obligation of the state. Four categories of obligation. Respecting a right means that the state must not violate a particular right. Protecting a right means that the state has to prevent violation of that right by non-state actors. Fulfilling a right means that the state has to take all appropriate measures like allocating budgetary resources to the realization of that right. Promoting the right means that a state must educate the public, raise awareness about that right thereby. So, what is a human right based approach? It is one that focuses on empowering people, especially the most vulnerable, the most marginalized, the weakest section of the society with knowledge, resources to understand and assert their right. Simultaneously, it focuses on capacity building of duty holders, governments to be able to protect and promote human rights. Human rights include gender, the universal system of protection of human rights in Article 1 and 2 of Universal Declaration proclaims that all human beings are born free, all human beings are equal in dignity and rights, and thus anyone may invoke all the rights and freedom established in the Declaration without distinction, including the gender. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights states, as per as Article 25, everyone has a right to a standard of living adequate for health, well-being of himself and his family, including food, clothing, housing, medical care, and necessary social services. The right to security in event of an unemployment, sickness, disability, widowhood, old age, and other lack of livelihood as the circumstances beyond would be calling us around it. This is what we are looking forward to. What is it all we are talking around? We should be stating disability, widowhood, old age, or the lack of the circumstances beyond the control thereby. The right to health. Health is considered the fundamental right in the World Health Organization. The Constitution states the right to health applies to all human beings, regardless of their race. Absolutely, what we are looking out here, regardless of the color, regardless of the sex, regardless of the language, the religion, and other opinion as on when on basis, their social origin, their property, birth, and other status, if we may say so. Reproductive rights, rights of a couple, rights of an individual, decide freely and responsibly the numbers and spacing, timings of the children have an information education means to do so. Attain the highest standard of sexual and reproductive health. Make decisions about reproductions free from discrimination, coercion, and violence. This is of pertinent importance, which was stated in ICPD way back in 1994. Protocol on the Rights of Women in Africa. What we say, Article 2 says prohibition of discrimination against women. Article 3 says right to dignity. Article 5 says elimination of harmful practices. What are we looking at? Article 6, equal rights in marriage. Health and reproductive rights, Article 14. Rights to inheritance is Article 21. This has been mandated by United Nations altogether. Protocol on the rights of women in Africa, the health and reproductive rights, if I may say so. State parties shall ensure that the right of health of women, including sexual and reproductive health, is respected. In fact, promoted. This includes the right to control their fertility, the right to decide whether to have a children or not, the number of children, the spacing of the children, the right to choose any method of contraceptions. That is what we are looking at. The right to self-protection and be protected against sexually transmitted infection, including human immunoviruses or acquired immunodeficiency syndrome, HIV or AIDS, if I may say so. The health and reproductive right as per Article 14. The human right violations due to societal conditions such as violation against women. Why are they being portrayed into such subjectivity? I shudder to think so. Why is there violence against a weaker gender? Now we are talking about societal condition as lack of education, harmful cultural practice, restriction on the property and inheritance, exaggerated gender equalities. This is what we are looking at it. Exaggerated gender inequalities, as the case might be. Gender-based violences cause more death, more disabilities against women, then cancer, then malaria, then traffic. In fact, everything put together, accidents and war. Gender-based violence is the biggest cause of death and disability against women. 60 million a girl are sexually assaulted at or en route to the school. One fourth, every girl of every four girls of every one girl would have been a victim of domestic violence. Out of every four women, at least one woman would be a victim. At least every one girl of every five women have been a victim of rape. See the discrimination. See how they have been subjected to. What are we looking? Violence against women is the individual that we're talking about it. Within relationship is the violence coming around. Then comes the community, and lastly the society. Society norming grants norms granting control of female to the male genders. This is what is to be avoided. They should be treated equal. Acceptance of violence as a way to resolve conflict. Notion of masculinity linked to the dominance, to honor, to aggression. and rigid gender roles. This is what we need to understand time and again. Community, poverty, low sub-economic status, association with delinquent peers, isolation of women and family. This is what community is all about it. Then we talk about relationships. That is the marital conflict between husband and wife. Male control of wealth and decision making in a family. And individually focuses on being male, witnessing marital discord, violence as a child, absent or rejecting father, being abused as a child, alcohol usage. This is what has been stated altogether. Declaration on the elimination of violence against women. The violence against women shall be understood to encompass, but not limited to the following: physical, sexual, psychological violence during the family, violence occurring in the family, including battering, sexual abuse of female children in the household, dowry related violence, marital rape, female genital mutilations, and other traditional practices harmful to women, non spousal violence, and violence related to exploitation. B. Physical, sexual, and psychological violence occurring within the general community, including rape, sexual abuse, sexual harassment, and intimidation at the work, in educational institution, and elsewhere, trafficking in women and forced prostitution. C. Physical, sexual, psychological violence perpetrated or condoned by the state wherever it occurs. Remember, the girl child rights is grounded in South Asian context altogether. Multimedia products impart life skills such as decision making, problem solving, communication, negotiation, critical thinking, assertiveness, and coping with feelings and relationships, partnering with non governmental organizations. The MENA clubs are in the village across South Asia where films are screened, where peer facilitated discussions have been held, where people efforts have been made to make women speak up and open out. We talk about the challenges. Make national legislation coherent internally and with international norms and standards ratified by the states. Establish accountability mechanism and the rule of law for the national judicial system and for the state as a whole. Mainstream gender throughout all programs and budget as the case might be. We need to understand what is the gender rights principle. Allow me to sum it up within few more seconds. It is all about equality, it is all about equity, and it is all about empowerment. The three E's that we call about it: equality, equity, and empowerment. That should be what given to the female genders and to be treated everyone equal. With this, I come to an end of this video. Thank you for watching the same.